And we are just about to start this live. And this is the second reading of my essay in this wonderful anthology, um, Beyond the Beach. So, Beyond the Beach is this book that's been written by Clish Gittins and Dr. Crystal Drakes of Barbados. An anthology, for those of you who don't know, is basically combination or compilation of written works. So in here, there are wonderful photos of the marine environment in Barbados mostly. Fisheries features very heavily in this book. And I actually went through it yesterday a little bit. Those are lovely pictures of Barbados and pictures of a photographer. So we would expect that there would be wonderful pictures in here as well. And so, I am blessed to be part of this anthology where there are interviews with people, poems, there are, reflections, personal reflections from folks about their connection to the ocean. And I wrote a piece on, blue justice and the ocean economy. And again, for those of you who don't know, the ocean economy basically is, how we use the ocean without using it up, without causing harm, um, and creating new jobs and opportunities for people as well. And there's a number of new technologies and new innovations that are happening in the ocean space, everything from floating solar to capturing carbon to finding medicinal products and even beauty products in the ocean, from everything from coral reefs to marine animals, and marine plants are being used and explored. And my perspective on this has been, it's good to develop our islands and create some resilience and security for our people, but at the same time, a lot of these um, innovations carry high risk, and at the same time, they don't always spread the wealth. So we need to look at how we spread the wealth better. Yesterday, I read about 4 paragraphs. So I'm not going to reread those. You can check the link from yesterday's reading. And when I was really excited and did the opening of a package, and I also read some of the paragraphs, and I was speaking about how tourism in its traditional form has not necessarily left the people of the Caribbean and smaller and developing states any better off. In fact, we have seen a lot of the monies that have come into the islands just fly back out again, because a lot of these organizations are not and businesses are not based on the islands. They, are big international organizations. The money comes in, goes out, and then most of the jobs and opportunities are, not always very highly paid. So I'm looking at reimagining an ocean space for all of us that puts local people in positions of leadership to collect data, to tell stories that are all about their backyard. And if you've been following me on Substack, you will realize that I share a lot about my backyard. I sometimes take photos and videos, and I'm in Montserrat on a volcanic island, and we still have an active volcano here. And I grew up here. I was voluntarily evacuated to the UK when I was 17 years old, and I returned when I was 31. And I have been running an organization called Fish and Fins here, which is a nonprofit, and that's a whole story in itself as well. So that's my background. That's some context as to who I am, and you know, what I do, and also I just feel really lucky and blessed to be part of this wonderful publication. It's been reviewed by the University of the West Indies and the Director of Island Sustainability Institute in Japan, Sophia University, and also the Honorable Mia Amor Motley. So it's pretty cool. And I want to just read again because I think that's just going to make me happy. It's been a tough day, I have to admit. It's been a tough day. Sometimes the work we're doing, I feel the work I do here, is not always seen. There's a lot of unseen labor, unpaid labor. heavy lifting. Sometimes one is feeling like you're pushing elephants upstairs. But at the core of what I do is because, I've come from Happy Hill, Salem. I came from a background where, yeah, not the sort of person that you would expect to be doing science and research and things like this. And somehow I have been able to create that opportunity for myself on my own terms. It's not been easy. And, and so I'm very hardwired to the issues of social justice, and inclusivity in this space, and how we collaborate on better terms, how we are better allies and support systems for each other, and how we can be better supported, do this work in fun ways. Because if we're really having too many tough days, it's easy to burn out. It's also easy to give up. And we don't want that. It's not good for anybody. And so I'm still trying to work out ways and means of doing this work creatively, with more fun. And, you know, hopefully the work will be able to stand the test of time. And so being written into my essay, being written into the books like this, I think that's wonderful. I think it's important for us to tell our stories, always tell our stories. Um, do it afraid, do it if you're not ready, use whatever resources you have, where you're at, and don't let anything stop you from doing so. I've started to tell my stories in fragments, and you can find out those fragments on my website, vetawade.com. So if you go to vetawade.com/fragments, you'll see some of the fragments of my stories. And I also started to do this by way of zines. So self-publishing just pieces of work, process, things like this. And if you go to vetawade.com/publications, you'll be able to see some of the work I've done, like reports, papers, which I think are not so exciting at all. And so I'm really sort of leading into the creative side of the work I do and how I communicate stories and how I communicate data. And so that brings me joy, and I'm hoping that it will continue to bring me income. But yeah, without further ado, I hope that you will be able to enjoy what I'm about to read. And I wrote this 2 years ago, so I'm being refreshed. I'm happy to do this because I'm also being refreshed about what I was able to write. And I come up very early in the book. Can't miss me. So, list of contributors, and I'm the last one on there with the big hat. So let me find again. And yeah, I'm live on my YouTube now. My mom's laughing at me. Everyone's laughing at me. And please like and share, because my partner also laughs at me and he's like, why are you on here? Like, nobody's liking it, nobody's listening. And people just want to watch pictures. Send pictures and videos of cool things. That's what people want to see. But I am determined to do what I want to do. And right now I want to talk. So I'm talking and I'm sharing some of the information I know. So yeah, last time we read up until, I think it was like the 1, 2, 3, fourth, yes, paragraph. And this time I'm just gonna share a couple more paragraphs. So yeah, so continuing on, here we go. So yeah, as environmentalist activist Christy Dunman recently put it, climate crisis disproportionately impacts Black and Brown communities first and worst. They deserve their work, ideas, and solutions to be prioritized and supported. The first step in this is to treat Black people equally and guarantee. Sorry, let me continue again. That's what Christy said. I go on to say the first step in this is to treat Black people equally and guarantee good blue economy jobs and livelihoods. that are, I'm making words up. Let me start again. The first step in this is to treat Black people equally and guarantee good blue economy jobs and livable wages beyond those which simply cover an individual's basic costs, tools, and utilities. We must ensure that the financial needs of Caribbean folk are met so that we can also fight for an equitable blue economy and have their contributions truly valued. So, I mean, all of this resonates so highly with me, and I don't know if it will resonate with you, but even up to today and meetings I was having around valuing local knowledge and who collects data and how that data is shared, what tools we use for the data in order to provide access that more people can be part of science research and to be able to gain the skills and opportunities that are necessary. Sometimes it doesn't feel like that's always heard, but I keep saying it and I keep working towards it and integrating it in my own work. And it's true, like what I was saying there as well, in terms of having livable wages. Some of the wages that we are getting in low paid jobs, whether or not it's in the hotel and hospitality industry or um, other areas, we need to level them up. People need to be resilient. We are in a situation where we are experiencing climate shocks, and those are expanding into other things. There are shocks to do with our finances, our health. There are geopolitical concerns that we face here in the region as well. So people need to have access to an ability to not just pay for the tools and the utilities, but also to pay for the insurances, to pay for, um, emergency travel, to pay for the security of ensuring that their children are okay and that maybe the elder parents are also okay. I think in the Caribbean in general, we are seeing the aging population. So many of our people are um, sandwiched between looking out for themselves, maybe a child, and also elder parents. And so, in that, you could imagine, like, we're all human, we know what that means as well. So, yeah, I was talking a little bit about that. We are hardest and first hits, as Christy Dunman said, and we need to figure out ways, really actively figure out ways that those of us who are in that position could really be in a position to bounce back from a shock and to be better able to manage and sustain such situations. Um, so, yeah, that was the paragraph. And I'll go on to say, let's take a minute and look beyond the discourse that frames our ocean economy and in this context view the Caribbean Sea as a space of business and economic opportunity. And we'll see there is no notable effort or identifiable intention to really shift power or access to resources from elite and privileged spaces to the grassroots. Well, um, one may say, some may say as a sweeping statement. Organization of the Eastern Caribbean states, for example, are doing a lot of work around the ocean economy and trying to protect the interests of local people, and also trying to ensure that we have like grassroots governance, so the people that are part of making laws and policies and programming are part of the design. I don't know how much this is actually reaching the ground and at the level of the people in the community and civil society. I think there's a lot more investments that need to happen here. And I still think that in vast majority of ways that there is a very colonial approach to science and research. And where before 100 years ago, an explorer had the means to travel the world and get samples and, um, discover new species and write books. Um, this is not luxury of the people of today. Certainly not black and brown people who have come from a history where, for example, our parents or grandparents didn't have the opportunity to even really reach academic education at tertiary level. So yeah, realities are different, and people need to have an income. People need to have a steady, reliable, safe, and decent income, and they need to be supported and energized to do the good work that's necessary in conservation, in research, and in science. It's really as simple as that. because we can't operate like we used to. Again, I am of the school of thought that I personally don't want to work on broken systems. I think that the systems that we have are broken and we have to create new ones. New ones. We have to be willing to take a risk. We have to be willing to innovate and try something new. So that's what I was saying there. There is still a deafening silence around the potential for uneven distribution of benefits and substantial social harms. In recent papers by people like Nathan Bennett, Jessica Blythe, Carol White, and Cecilia Campero, they highlight 10 areas of social injustice resulting from blue growth. And these raise the question of blue prosperity and prosperity for whom? So here I'm talking about, yeah, we can create wealth with the ocean, um, but is it going to lead to exploitation of people and resources again in the ocean as we did on land? And who's really going to benefit? Who's the blue prosperity for? And so look further at main blue economy talks, conferences, and accelerator labs and count on one hand how many island leaders are represented. Yes, I challenge you. When you see big conferences happening in the ocean space, when you see accelerator labs and uh, spaces for investment and innovation, really, let's see how many of those are coming from or benefiting people that are black and brown, from the same ocean spaces that make up the majority of this world. Um, Yeah, so gasp at the absence of grassroots governance, and then gasp again at the terms of some of these blue innovation grants, requiring a local startup to match fund at a minimum of 40,000 US dollars. And this is some of the realities of what we experience as well, is that, you know, when you get big grants, sometimes they're asking you to not just match funding time, but match funding money. And when you're talking about people who are already marginalized, who don't come from backgrounds of money, their families just don't have that means. Um, they may even be the first to have attended university or so on and so forth. And where are we really going to get 40,000 US dollars from? Um, so it's not viable, it's not feasible, some of these solutions that are being created to finance opportunities for our ocean economy. And so in these hard go over time, and that's the saying that we have in the Caribbean, when things are tough economically, people say it's hard go over times. And so in these hard go over times, or in these hard go over pandemic times I had here, because I was writing this around the pandemic, which small island grassroots NGOs or budding oceanpreneurs have access to these types of funds. Like who? Exactly. Which youth startup can fairly contend, right? A new model is needed. A new model to demonstrate what equitable collaboration really looks like, and can look like for a region. And by our region, I think that our story here on Montserrat, in one way or the other, very much resonates with many small island developing states and also other big ocean states around the world, that are like ours in the tropics. Um, so yeah, a new model is needed, um, and to demonstrate what equitable collaboration can look like for a region that achieves a more just and inclusive ocean economy for us all. I know nowadays people may not want to really talk about justice and inclusivity, but it's a reality for us here in the region. We don't have the luxury of not talking about it. I don't think we have the luxury. I don't think we have the time. I think it's a reality. That's just a reality that we're faced with, and we have to share and speak about these things if we're going to come up with solutions that work, and we can collaborate around solutions that work. We must speak the truth. And so a great effort is needed to explore how international NGOs and brands can leverage their power and privilege to put local people in the driving seat of the Caribbean blue economy and ensure that the money gets closer to the individuals and organizations that need it most. Facts. That's just how it is. If there is no willingness to put trust in our Black partners with the significant funds, mentorships, networks, and skills needed to realize their goals, then all we have around the table is talk and no action. And what we actually see is a rising tide of foreign investments in the Caribbean, raising the ugly head of blue washing, i.e., to tout a blue business. That's what blue washing means: to tout a blue business or organizational commitment to social responsibilities and to use this perspective for public relations and economic gain. Wow, that's a powerful line. I'm going to repost that on my Substack notes um, as well. So that is my reading for the day. I think I enjoy reading to you and reading to myself and reminding myself about some of the things that I've spoken about. And maybe what I'll do is continue to read out and reflect on some of the other pieces I've written, as well. Today I was glimpsing on my LinkedIn, and I'm not often on LinkedIn anymore. But there was another piece I wrote there that I felt was really interesting and I can tell stories about. And so maybe that's the direction I might be taking some of these lives. I don't know. So I'm hoping that you've enjoyed reading with me my essay, Just Blue Economy, in the new anthology by Clish Gittins and Dr. Crystal Drake of Barbados. And it is Conversations on the Blue Economy. So until next time, thank you again for following. Thank you for listening and taking time to stop and listen to me. I know it's maybe not as exciting, cool, sexy, or dramatic as some of the things that you're seeing on your feed. But yeah, let's make space for other things too. Stay blessed. Bye.